Before the deep dive, let's review the basics of how to play Tools and Titans. So how does one play a turn in Tools and Titans? Easy. Draw your cards, charge your energy, build your field, act with your powers, clash with your Titans, end your turn. 6 steps, 1 epic battle. All right, another spark and another build. Our Titans await their charge. Today we're tackling something truly unique in the Tools and Titans universe. We've talked about the Tool Titans, born of trade and creation. We've explored the Rustborn, bred from entropy and corruption. But what happens when the world needs a defender? That isn't a creator or a destroyer.
That's when the weave itself answers. Today we rise into the domain of the Preservents. They aren't born of ambition or decay. They are the weave's immune response, a faction of hybrid defenders tasked with a single purpose, maintaining balance.
Hybrid defenders. I like the sound of that. So what are they exactly? Part machine, part something else?
Exactly. The Preservents are a faction of hybrid beast titans. Think of them as being forged from 80% Titan logic and 20% primal beast essence. They are biological anomalies, seal-linked guardians, and zone-stabilizing entities.
Seal-linked. So they're tied to those ancient, powerful artifacts we've discussed before.
Precisely. Unlike the other factions, Preservents are reactive sentinels. They emerge when the balance is lost, not to rule the world, but to reset it. They don't build civilizations and they don't tear them down. They contain.
So, let's meet the team. Who are these guardians?
There's Forgelion, the Embermane of Justice, Terrevault, who is the keeper of the Deep Growth Core, Aetherdrake, the Skyflame Remnant, and Spindrosel, the Widow of Threaded Bloom.
Those names alone paint a vivid picture. A lion made of fire and justice. A living vault of earth.
And there are more. Shellomant, the world-bound Tectocrust, Verdelume, the Mossheart Bloomkeeper, and finally Ignifane, the soul-tailed Phoenix, each one a fusion of nature and arcane programming.
So if Tool Titans represent mastery, and the Rustborn represent entropy, what is the core philosophy of the Preservents?
They represent a third philosophical axis, not creation, not destruction, but containment, regeneration, and balance. They embody purified resilience, controlled renewal. Their goal is containment, not conquest.
And their instincts, you said they're seal-bonded?
Yes, their actions don't follow their own will, not entirely. They follow ancient defensive programming that's woven directly into their DNA and linked to the weave's oldest seals.
So where did they come from? When did these natural guardians emerge?
They were born out of desperation. They emerged during the Rustvale Bloom crisis, a time when both the Tool Titans and the Rustborn pushed the weave to the very brink of collapse. The Central Shrine of 12 was destabilizing, and nature itself responded by forging these sentient guardians.
So they weren't built in a forge or corrupted in a wasteland. They were grown, awakened.
Some are remnants of failed seal experiments from a bygone era. Others are weave-bonded creatures that absorbed arcane protocols during the catastrophic forge collapse, but all of them were born out of necessity, never ambition.
And where do they live? You can't just find a part beast, part artifact titan hanging out in the city.
No, they inhabit what are called balance-tethered ecosystems, places where nature and technology are entangled with sacred purpose. Forgelion holds court in the ember-blessed caldera, a molten chamber where justice is literally forged in fire. The air shimmers with heat, but it's a cleansing heat, not a destructive one.
And Terrevault? The Deep Growth Core sounds subterranean.
It is. Imagine a fortress of roots as thick as buildings, deep beneath the earth. It's a place of immense pressure and patience. Terrevault doesn't just guard the core. He is the core's primary defense system. He can feel every shift in the tectonic plates for miles.
Aetherdrake must be in the skies then.
In the Skyflame Loft, a drifting thermal citadel that rides the high ether winds. It's a sanctuary made of solidified clouds and arcane energy, constantly moving to monitor the weave from above.
That sounds impossible to attack. What about Spindrosel? The Threadblight Web Grove sounds terrifying.
It's unnervingly beautiful, a silk-choked biome where every thread hums with energy. Some threads carry toxins that can paralyze a titan instantly, while others carry a regenerating nectar. Spindrosel's lair is both the poison and the antidote.
Each home isn't just a base, it's a reflection of their function. Tectocrust Vault, Verdant Nexus, the Phoenix Gate Spire, they aren't just layers. They're functional parts of the world.
They are. These sanctums are zone-bound. They're capable of cleansing the Scorch left by Rustborn, rebalancing shifts in the weave, or even triggering ancient seal events. Controlling one of these zones is a massive advantage.
Which brings us to the big question, why do they matter? In terms of the game and the lore, what is their ultimate purpose?
They are the essential counterforce. They exist to counter escalating entropy, especially from the Rustborn and their Korret minions. In player versus environment campaigns, they are the guardians of sacred terrain, weave anomalies, and mythic resources.
And in terms of lore, they're basically living hard drives.
In a way, yes. Their minds are part memory web, retaining ancient seal logic that has been lost to everyone else. They are the lore custodians. Mechanically, this translates into entire new ways to play the game.
Okay, let's get into those mechanics. How do they actually operate on the table?
Their core systems are completely unique. First is Sealcast Synergy. They gain powerful effects by interacting with or restoring seal cards and the zones on the board. A restored seal might give all your Preservents a shield for a turn, or let you draw extra cards.
So they're not just defending the zones. They're empowered by them.
Right? And they have zone restoration mechanics. They can turn corrupted, scorched, or disabled zones back into a playable state. This is their most direct counter to the Rustborn, who want to ruin the entire playing field. A Preservent player literally cleans the board.
And what about their resources? Do they just discard cards like everyone else?
They have what are called Regrowth Protocols. Discarded cards, tools in the junkyard, even destroyed tasks can be purified and brought back to be used again. It makes them incredibly resilient to decks that try to mill you or destroy your resources.
And the most interesting one, defensive overwrites. You said they prevent, stall, or redirect.
Instead of simply attacking for damage, many of their abilities overwrite an opponent's action. An enemy plays a powerful task card. A Preservant ability might just say no. That task is now dormant for 2 turns. It's infuriating to play against because it dismantles your strategy piece by piece.
So their power isn't about hitting harder. It's about making your opponent's turn completely useless.
Precisely. And finally, they have biome affinity triggers. Each Preservant gets stronger when it's fighting in its native zone, or under similar environmental conditions you create on the board. Play a mountain structure and stone-based Preservants like Terrevault might get a permanent boost.
Every Titan turn, draw, charge, building act, clash, end. 6 steps. Infinite ways to forge your victory.
But for the Preservants, those 6 steps are used for a different goal. Not just victory, but stability. Let's look at the individual Titans and how they use those steps.
Let's start with Forgelion, the Embermane of Justice. You said fire and metal, a zone judgment roll.
Yes, his Flame Cleanse isn't just for show. Mechanically, it's an ability that removes all Rustborn corruption counters from a zone. His task overriding cancels an opponent's plans, and the damage redirection is his ultimate expression of justice.
How does that work in a match?
Imagine a huge Rustborn Titan like Fusio Prime preparing a massive meltdown attack. You activate Forgelion's Judgment ability. Instead of your Titan taking the damage, Forgelion redirects it to another enemy Titan or even back to the opponent's primary structure card. The consequence is delivered, just not to the intended target.
Okay, what about the keeper of the deep growth core, Terrevault? Earth and barrier.
Terrevault is the master of no, his terrain. Lockdown ability can target a zone and declare that no new structures can be built there for 3 turns. His Seal reactivation can pull a Seal card directly from your discard pile back into play, and Quake Denial can cancel a single card effect that would damage all cards on the field. He is the ultimate defender of the board state.
Aetherdrake, the Sky Sentinel. Wind and Magic, an aerial interceptor.
Aetherdrake messes with timing. His cast delay ability can target a card in your opponent's hand and say, "You can't play this until your next turn." It's preemptive. He stops threats before they even happen. His Weave Stall is a powerful ultimate that prevents all players from using Flux cards for one full round. It creates a moment of absolute calm for you to set up your final move.
Spindrosel, Nature and Decay. The name Trap Binder sounds like she plays a long game.
The longest. Her task rooting ability attaches a root counter to an enemy task card. As long as that counter is there, the card can't be used. Her decay trigger loops are fascinating. She might have a card that says, whenever your opponent draws a card, they take 1 damage for each rooted card in play. She slowly, inevitably traps and suffocates her opponent.
Next up, Shellomant, Stone and Tectonic. The fortification tank?
Pure defense, but proactive. Task shielding lets Shellomant place a shield on one of your own key cards, making it immune to being targeted by enemy abilities. And his structure regeneration is an ongoing effect. At the end of your turn, you can repair one of your damaged structures. He is designed to make your side of the board an unbreakable fortress.
And Verdelume, Bioenergy and Compost, a regrowth specialist. This feels like the heart of the faction.
It is. Her Death Recycle engine is an ability you build towards. Once activated, it allows you to pay energy to take a card from your junkyard and put it back in your hand. Her Junkyard Revival Bloom is even stronger. It's a one-time use ability that lets you take all cards of a certain type, like tools, from your junkyard and shuffle them back into your deck. She ensures you never, ever run out of options.
Finally, Ignifane, Heat and Rebirth. The Phoenix Loop.
Ignifane embodies the idea that even destruction can serve balance. When Ignifane is destroyed, its core ability triggers. You place a Phoenix Ash card in its place, which cannot be removed. After 3 of your turns, the Ash card is destroyed, and Ignifane returns to the field from your junkyard, for free, with a powerful flame burst that damages all enemy titans. Your opponent has to choose. Deal with Ignifane now and face the explosion later, or leave it alone.
Wow. Each one is a complete strategic puzzle. Let's talk about their role in the story. You mentioned campaign arcs, like Echo Wells Reclamation. What is that?
Echo Wells Reclamation is a major PvE storyline. The Echo Wells are zones where the Weave's memory is thin. The Rustborn are trying to corrupt them to erase history itself. Players have to work with Preservant guardians like Terrevault to travel deep into these zones, cleanse them, and reactivate the ancient seals at their center to restore the Weave's memory.
And what about Scorch Purge, Ignifane's Trial?
That's a solo campaign arc. It tells the origin story of Ignifane. Players take on the role of a pre-Titan phoenix that must travel through scorched, dead lands left behind by a massive battle. By absorbing the residual heat and pain from the land, it purifies the zones and slowly transforms into the Titan Ignifane. The final trial is a battle against the echo of the destruction itself. It's a story about finding rebirth in total devastation.
So the campaigns directly teach you the faction's philosophy. Let's bring this back to the tabletop. How do these unique styles translate into deck archetypes?
The first is the Seal Control Engine, using Terrevault or Forgelion. The goal is to cleanse all corruption and then use recursion from your seals to outvalue your opponent. The key is patience. You will lose the early game. You have to survive long enough for your engine to come online. The main counter to this strategy is hyper-aggressive decks that can win before you stabilize.
What about the Trap Bloom Regrowth deck with Spindrosel and Verdelume?
That one is about setting long-term traps while using Verdelume to recycle your resources. It's a slow, grinding victory. A pro tip for this deck is to focus on rooting your opponent's resource-generating cards first. Starve them of energy, and your traps will do the rest. Its biggest weakness is cards that can cleanse zones and remove your trap counters all at once.
And for the flyers, the aerial tempo stall.
Led by Aetherdrake, it's all about preventing your opponent from playing on their own terms. You delay their actions and stall their big plays. The key here is knowing the opponent's deck. You have to identify their most crucial card and use Aetherdrake's abilities to neutralize it before it ever hits the board. It's very vulnerable to decks that have lots of low-cost, instant-speed abilities that can't be easily predicted or delayed.
Finally, the big defensive wall. The tank and resurrection loop.
Using Shellomant and Ignifane, you shield and defend, absorbing every attack, just waiting for Ignifane's rebirth to trigger. The strategy here is to bait your opponent into overcommitting to destroy Ignifane. Let them use all their powerful cards, and then bring it back for a devastating counterattack. The main counter is any ability that can banish a card from the junkyard, preventing Ignifane's loop entirely.
And in the story, in the campaigns, they're more than just obstacles.
Much more. They are the lore keepers of the shrines. They can act as judges, as guardians, or as biome-bound gatekeepers that players have to learn from, not just defeat. They represent the idea that true strength isn't always about power, but about resilience.
A faction that doesn't seek to win by overwhelming, but by outlasting. Not by attacking, but by defending and redirecting. The Preservents truly are the guardians between turns, the calm in the storm of creation and destruction.
They remind us that sometimes the most powerful move
is to wait, to heal, and to hold the line until balance is restored. In every match of Tools and Titans, your tradecraft unfolds in 6 simple moves: draw, charge, building, act, clash, end. Simplicity for the novice, mastery for the titan.